What's up, everyone? Bryan Hornung here, Xact IT Solutions, coming at you with another video during Cybersecurity Awareness Month 2020. Today is October 26, 2020. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We are giving away a $200 Amazon gift card to anybody who's subscribed to our channel. As of October 31st, we will announce a winner on a video on our channel here on November 1st. So we will announce the username. The only things that you must have in place in order to qualify are you must be a U.S. resident, you must be 18 years of age, and obviously subscribe to our channel. So if you are watching this, you know that we do not charge you any fee. We don't ask for any Patreon stuff. We are not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. So if you do get any information from us today, like anything you see in the video, please hit that like button. And if you're so inclined, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell as well. And if you want to work with my company, Xact IT Solutions, in any way, head over to our website, xitx.com. Hit the little contact us button at the top right, and someone will reach out to you with whatever's on your mind. So without further ado, let's jump into today's content. All right, so today I want to talk about something that we have been learning about that's happening out on the criminal side of the internet, aka the dark web. There's some interesting things that are happening, and I want to make people aware of them because I think with a lot of these attacks that happen and a lot of the news reports that come out about cyber attacks in general and just data breaches, I think people are becoming a little numb to the fact that their data is being stolen at a record amount. And I don't think people realize the impact that this has, simply because the activity on the flip side of the data theft hasn't really hit home yet. It hasn't really been reported on enough. It hasn't happened to enough people. But I am betting that that's going to change, and I'm here to bring you some new information that we are just learning about in terms of these attacks and how they impact people and what these cyber criminals are using the data that they steal for. Now, we all know cyber attacks are things that happen to anybody really, but they happen to businesses for the most part. And a lot of times, especially in 2020, most of the cyber attacks that are occurring are happening where their data theft is stolen prior to the company being ransomware. So if you watch my other videos, you know we talk about double extortion, and we talk about the fact that there's an advanced persistent threat, or an APT, that occurs where somebody has persistent access, meaning they can get on the network. It's not a one-time thing. They can get there again. And they are selling that access to hackers who then steal the data first and then encrypt it with ransomware, because the ransomware is the first attempt to get paid, and then the data stolen and extorting the release of that information is the second part of the double extortion. And now we're seeing kind of a third thing starting to happen. And what that is the victims or the people who were inside of those data sources are now becoming victims of these criminals. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that, as an example, let's say a hospital gets breached, and let's say that hospital has, millions of records of patient information that was stolen as part of this breach. Criminal hackers now have their hands on this data, and they can do what they want with it. They can share it. They can look through it, pour through it. They can sell it to other people. But one of the things that we're learning about now, and one of the things that a task force that I'm on is noticing, is that the data that's being stolen, especially from hospitals, is now being used to victimize the patients. And an example of how this goes down, I'll give you a very high level example. But basically all these hackers work on the same premise. The premise is that they have information that you don't want someone else to get, or you don't want it to fall in someone else's hands. And they can use this a multitude of ways. There's almost like an infinite amount of ways that if they know that they have information that somebody doesn't want to get released, they know that they can extort that person. And this is predicated on a lot of things. Like when I had to get a secret clearance for the United States government, that was one of the things that the government looked at was, is there anything in your life that there's a potential for somebody to come to you and hold it against you, so then that you would then turn or sell information or give information about your government or about the information you're privy to have access to as a result of, your past history and obviously your current job, which gives you access to sensitive information. And then would you be suspect to turning around and giving that to a criminal who's extorting you? So a more concrete example of kind of what we're seeing out there is, let's say you're a CEO and you own a company and you were diagnosed with COVID-19, let's say in August. And your COVID-19 diagnosis came and went. Your immediate family and some people knew you had COVID-19, but for the most part, you kept things under wraps. Not many people knew you had it, and you weren't the type of person who went out and told people that you had it. And in the early stages, you didn't know you had it. So criminal hackers can take information like that, and they can look at that patient information, the patient history, see that somebody was diagnosed with COVID-19, and then they can turn around and go to social media and look up that name. I mean, in Facebook, all you need to know is the person's full name, and you could probably find them, unless they have a really common name, and then you could maybe search the city that they're from, and then you'll find the person pretty quickly. It's really easy to find people on social media. It's really easy to find people on LinkedIn. And then let's say somebody finds you on Facebook, finds pictures at an event that is not a source that you control. Let's say you went to an event for a local charity or maybe a chamber of commerce, and your picture was taken at these events. And let's say you were diagnosed with COVID-19 on August 5th. And on August 6th, 7th, or 8th, you were out and about at events. And, maybe these events caused people to break out with COVID-19. And you were the source of that breakout. And now the criminal hackers know this, and they have this information because they know that you were diagnosed based on your medical history with COVID-19 on the 5th, or maybe, let's say, on the 10th. But from the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, you were out and about. And there's evidence of that out on the internet that they can then prove and share. And this doesn't limit itself to just COVID-19. Think about all the things that could potentially be in your medical file that you might not want any other person to know. That's what we're talking about here. Anything that's in your medical history and your protected health information that was no longer protected and is now in the hands of criminals can be used against you in an extortion attempt. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that all this data that's being stolen and moved to the dark web, now criminal hackers are like, oh, here's another way we can make money. We can target the people that we know had this disease or had this, virus, and tell them that we're now going to go out there and spread the word that you weren't protecting yourself, you weren't wearing a mask, and you expose people to this virus. And that's what we've come to by having hospitals a big target for these criminal hackers, is that they're looking at health information, and then they're finding the target, and then they're looking at the target to see, is there a way that we can use this information to extort money from this individual? And many people, when they receive that email or they get that letter from a hacker that says, here's the evidence that we have that proves that you have this issue, and we're going to let these parties know, we're going to let the world know that this is what's going on with you unless you send us $1,000 in Bitcoin. I don't imagine that any of this stuff is going to be what we're seeing on the ransomware scale, where it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I think $1,000 here, $1,000 there from individuals is what's going to be the MO around this stuff. So it's really important that everyone understand what this information is and what it means when the data is stolen. I think we're becoming desensitized to the fact that there's so many attacks and nothing really happens. Like, there's no direct effect from these events. But this is an indirect effect. And I think this is going to become more popular, and I think it will then turn into a direct effect when people's identity is stolen and people's personal health information is used against them to extort money from them, or just make their life a living hell because they unfortunately got sick, and now criminals want to use that against them to shame them and embarrass them into paying more money to these criminals. So not the greatest news, and usually never is with this cybersecurity stuff, but this is some really disturbing trends that we're seeing that are, I believe, going to become way more popular, way more relevant. You're going to hear more about this in the months to come, because this is something new that we're seeing out there, where they're actually taking the data stolen and they're using it against individuals. This is a new tactic, and I believe, based on what I'm seeing, that this is going to be a very popular tactic moving forward to try to get more money out of victims of these unfortunate cyber attacks. So I hope this information was helpful and enlightened you. If it did, hit the like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can get into that $200 Amazon gift card drawing. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone. Take care.